Enemy. Part 1. Parental Affection. Yellow from the neon lights of the fast food sign showered over the counter onto the simple and unattractive faces of both the sandwich maker and the patron. The woman making the sandwich was in her late 30s. The black visor that held her wrangled brown hair in place also covered the sags under her tired eyes while she worked. A small boy, approximately 5 years old, sat restlessly on a chair, waiting for his mother to return. The boy was poorly dressed in ragged hand-me-down clothes, faded from generations long since passed from relatives who were slightly better off, or perhaps from one of his mother's regular charity runs. It was obvious that the boy had been malnourished, and perhaps the reason in which he wore these patchwork clothes was not from destitution or being born out of wedlock. The most plausible reason for this awkwardly dressed and poorly cared for lad was his own mother's poor decision-making and lack of financial planning. The thick white belly of the long bun was covered in a few strips of fresh cheese. Next came the processed meats saturated in oil and fat. The fat was topped with a variety of garnishing and closed in the fashion the establishment had practiced. The woman behind the counter placed a medium-sized cup down and rang the order through. Currency was exchanged for the food and service that the hearty woman provided. The stout woman took a seat at the table that her presumable son was sitting at. His fascination for this woman was unmatched by any suitor. Bliss in this young mind took the form of attention, something he seldom got. The discolored flesh on either side of her lips stretched as she crammed the sandwich into her mouth, leaving various oils and sauce behind in the cracks and creases. Her rotting plaque and nicotine-coated teeth sank into the soft bun once again for another, more than mouthful. The boy jumped out of the chair and stomped across the black and white tiled floor. Quiet humming came from his lips as he made his way around the restaurant, making sure to only stomp on the black tiles. The boy's mother finished her sandwich and drink, staring out the window onto the busy city street. Her stare was not one of deep contemplation, nor were any previously. The boy stood by the door now, waiting to leave. The mother slurped and gurgled the shallow, icy water at the bottom of what should have rightfully been, at that point, wax cup waste. "Let's go, Mom," the boy said at the door, which was half open, resting on his back. The woman got up once again and made her way to the counter. She had purchased a refill and sat back in the seat she was sitting at before, not giving any hint of leaving. The boy was outside now. He was running precariously in circles around the curve of the busy street. Cars swerved around his movement, honking at the child's careless behavior, while the mother sipped away at her beverage unaware. One would speculate that none of her thoughts were of the child that had admired her so much. She sipped the beverage some more, looking at the crumbs and spilt dressing she had left on the table. Her face was revolting, partially from disfigurement and her non-present personality, but mostly it was her plain, unanimated, unhappy, and unintelligent demeanor. The woman finished the beverage and pushed herself from her seat, leaving the establishment. She stood outside, struggling to produce a flame on her dollar store lighter while trying to light a cigarette. A flame sparked and smoke curled in the wind, brushing over her face and hair. After inhaling the toxins several times, it appeared she noticed her son was nowhere to be found. She puffed her smoke again and looked ever so slowly around the corner of the building, not bending or kneeling to make the most of her eyesight, simply just peering around. When she saw he wasn't in plain view, she took another drag and walked to the other side of the building. The collected ash had fallen from the glowing heater of the cigarette and onto the sidewalk, rolling and crumbling as it eventually became nothing at all. The naked heater brightened in the cool breeze. Her flat expression had not altered, even though there was still no sign of her son. She casually dropped her partially smoked cigarette and re-entered the restaurant, sitting in the same seat. She sat and waited, looking at nothing in particular. Perhaps she waited for her son to show, or maybe she just wanted another refill, but was too exhausted to move.